Happy Tuesday, and welcome to the Ram Ashram Satsang practice session. My name is Eddie. I have over 14 years of Satsang experience, and today I will be introducing the facilitator for today's event. But first, I'd like to give you a brief introduction to this practice session. If you'll direct your attention towards your screen, you'll see that the first element is Satsang. Satsang is a scientific method whereby we may obtain peace, light, and love in our life. It requires no physical skill, spiritual accomplishment, or meditation experience to begin its practice. Satsang consists of two words, Sat and Sang. Sat means positive energy, and Sang means to be with or to be in the presence of. Therefore, the word Satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. The next element is meditation. Meditation is an important element of satsang. When we meditate, we withdraw our consciousness from worldly objects and direct it inwards to focus on a single thought. In doing so, our minds become calm and our thoughts become pure, thereby allowing us to obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. Inner orientation. There are two types of satsang, inner satsang and outer satsang. An example of outer satsang would be chanting or attending pilgrimages. Each time we practice outer satsang, we have the potential to change our behavior. But only through the practice of inner satsang can we obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. The satsang that you will learn today is an inner satsang, where we meditate in silence. Group session. These practice sessions are structured for group participation. When we meditate as a group, our focus is improved and our personal progress along our spiritual path is expedited. By regularly attending these practice sessions, the benefits of group participation are amplified. Joy and inner happiness. All beings wish to experience joy. Joy is the eternal longing of the soul. But only through the practice of inner satsang can we obtain a joyous state. Each time we practice satsang, our inner happiness gradually increases, ultimately culminating in a joyous state, which we experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The agenda for today consists of 3 sessions: the informative session, the practice session, and the interactive session. During the informative session, a lecture will be given about a satsang topic, the founder, or some relevant spiritual topic. During the practice session, instructions will be given on how to meditate, followed by a period of practice. During the interactive session, you have the opportunity to ask questions, or there'll be a panel discussion. And now, I'd like to introduce the facilitator for today's event. He has over 40 years of satsang experience. He's the grandson of Guru Maharaj, the founder of Ram Ashram Satsang. He was born into a satsang family where he experienced his family members obtain states of enlightenment and lead lives of peace, light, and love. At an early age, he began traveling with the mission throughout India, conducting satsangs. He has experienced firsthand the benefits of satsang on mankind. And upon arriving in the United States, both he and his wife continued to conduct satsang for local satsangees. He has led teams of satsang members in translating important satsang literature into English. And he has worked tirelessly to bring satsang to the world and to English speakers. It is because of his efforts that we are able to participate in this practice session today. He currently travels throughout both India and the United States conducting satsangs while maintaining his duties as a husband, a father, and an IT executive. Today, he will teach us a rare and ancient form of satsang as taught by Guru Maharaj. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sanjeev Kumarji.
So thank you, Eddie. As usual, he sets the tone for the session, some very important basic points there. And so happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to the satsang session. Core focus is always practice. Meditation is all about practice. And I think we make sure that every session has a pretty significant part of that is, devoted to that. However, initially, some basic concepts that we just heard, we kind of just repeat that so everyone who comes on board understands that. At the end, we open up for questions if there are any things that need to be clarified. For last few weeks, we have been talking about how satsang and the yoga philosophy, especially the 8 limbs of yoga, where satsang fits. And when probably must be 15 years ago, I started some sessions at the public library here in Virginia. I used to call them inner yoga. And the idea was that if asanas and pranayams, the physical exercises and breathing exercises, were the outer aspects of yoga, there are 4 other limbs out of the 8 limbs that Maharishi Patanjali talks about, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, which to me is inward orientation, concentration, meditation, and higher consciousness that results from those activities. And we will see again, those 4 of the 8 limbs are core to the practice here. So I'll talk about that when we talk about how to meditate before we actually start the meditation. So in that, there are 2 videos that I recorded last September around yam and niyam, which is the other 2 of the 8 limbs. They are essentially, as my grandfather, Guru Maharaj, who basically put this process together that we will practice around 1930 and made it public, and just anybody and everybody who would, reach out to him, he would share the whole process, what works, what doesn't work, how to get to the ultimate goal of reaching a consistent and deep and abundant peace. And I call target state of satsang as light, love, and peace. And those words sometimes are used lightly here. It means a very deep sense of peace, love, which is unconditional, and unconditional love and unconditional giving, as well as light, which here depicts knowledge, and inner light, which provides us inner strength, and the strength of inner conscience, which then drives our behavior. So, my eldest uncle, Guru Maharaj's eldest son, he used to say that if your behavior is not improving, then whatever meditative practice you are, pursuing, you got to, relook. You need to look at that again and see what part is not working. So behavior is almost like a measure of your progress, measure of your depth and breadth of your meditation practice that you are pursuing. So 2 limbs out of 8 are dedicated to behavior, in the sense that the traits that you want to keep, 5 of them are niyams, which are rules of the road. And then 5, which you want to give up, is the yam, the trait that you want to, so traits you want to acquire, and traits you want to give up, right? So today we will look at one of those sets of 5, and next week we'll look at the other 5. So yam and niyam, which is basically traits you want to keep and traits you want to give up. And those behavior patterns, according to Maharishi Patanjali, who was one of the ancient masters of yogic philosophy, he talked about those are integral to any yogic practice or meditative practice, essentially. So we'll watch the video, and then I will come back. I'll talk about how we meditate, and then we'll practice, and then open up for any questions or clarifications and sharing of any thoughts and comments. All right, so you want? So let's talk a little further about yoga philosophy and satsang. Maharishi Patanjali described Ashtanga Yoga in Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi are those 8 limbs, which make, if yoga was the body, these would be the 8 limbs. So it's a framework. This framework, so 4 of these limbs are the focus of satsang, as described by Guru Maharaj, Dr. Chaturved Sahaji. So we have talked about that. Now I wanted to get down to yam and niyam. So first, let's take niyam. Niyam, Guru Maharaj said, are the traits that you want to acquire, things that you want to have in terms of your behavior. So cleanliness. So cleanliness, Maharishi Patanjali said, is so essential for somebody who wants to connect to the higher power, connect to the transcendental energy, and achieve higher consciousness and awareness, ought to believe in purity inside and out. So cleanliness inside and out is essential. My point is that how do you clean your inside? So that would be achieved through satsang. That would be achieved through meditation. There are a lot of ways to look at Ashtanga Yoga, but I feel that core part of yam and niyam, which people say is foundational, can only be achieved through meditative practices. I think these are results of the practice rather than the other way around. Now let's talk about the next niyam or rule. Niyam means rule, so code of conduct in some way. So cleanliness was one, Number two is being content, like almost like opposite to greed. You're very content with what you have. How would you achieve that state if you haven't practiced looking inwards and inner pursuits, and you're trying to focus inwards with satsang and other meditative practices? So if being content was the goal, again, I think you would need some meditative practices or satsang to get to that state. I mean, in satsang, another aspect is that when you see someone who is content, you would be able to figure out how to, that one, it is achievable, and maybe you will observe how that is done, and the meditative practices will help you. Now, third is self-discipline. Sanyam is another trait to acquire, another niyam for a yogi. Very, very essential. Self-discipline is probably one of the most powerful of these because I think Guru Maharaj's eldest son, Dr. Brijen Kumarji, he was a doctor and the spiritual heir of Guru Maharaj, and he said, self-discipline is what drives your practice. Self-discipline collectively is what drives satsang. So yes, it is driven by collective consciousness of the leaders, but also followers as well. The higher the level of every person who is meditating, the higher levels they will achieve. So self-discipline is an immensely powerful tool. It can move mountains. It is integral to Ashtanga Yoga. It is integral to satsang. But again, I feel that how would you achieve it? You will acquire that capability through meditation and through satsang. Now let's go to the next one, which I would say next niyam is introspection. Introspection is like self-study, studying yourself, introspection. Or maybe what you have read, try to analyze, and you analyze how you have been implementing or following that or not, and how it is relevant to your practice. So all that is introspection. But Guru Maharaj also used to say that meditation shows you a mirror. So what do you see in the mirror? Yourself. For any person who is in pursuit of inner peace, self-study or introspection, and studying scriptures and trying to see how it fits into your practice, how are you implementing it? Are you implementing it? Where are the problems? So all that becomes part of this introspection, which ought to be integral to any meditative practice, or for that matter, any worldly practice as well. So if you want to grow, you've got to introspect. I think it ought to be integral to your satsang practice too. So when you meditate, you suddenly start seeing this mirror, and you start seeing yourself, especially where the issues are, what the hurdles are, what the gaps are, and where you need to fix your behavior or your practice, other aspects in life. So self-study, introspection, extremely important part of Ashtanga Yoga as well as satsang. Then the final niyam, the fifth one, is surrender, or the way my father, Dr. Narendra Kumarji, Guru Maharaj's youngest son, he used to say that it's not a negative connotation, which surrender, the English word doesn't communicate that. I mean, I'm adding that, but what he used to say that there are three states through which you move through a meditative practice. One, where you are a stone, you put that stone in cold water and put it back into the sun, it heats up again quickly. That's the first stage, where somebody comes to satsang, feels good, but goes back to square one very quickly. Then you achieve the next stage, where you are a cotton ball, you dip into the water or put in the water, you put it back out there, it heats up again, but much more slowly. So now you have absorbed that water or that transcendental energy, and now you soak it up and you go farther with that energy. So your day potentially could be all energized with that energy. But then there is the third state where you are like the salt, where you put that in the water. Now you cannot extract the salt anymore. The salt has taken that form. So similarly, you get so soaked up in this energy, that transcendental energy, and you are no different. That, to me, is the state of surrender or becoming one with the larger entity. So you don't exist. You don't exist, but the larger entity exists, and you have become one with that larger entity. So from being very limited, you have become far more limitless. So that is the process of satsang. That is the process through which people achieve enlightenment. That is the process through which you have out of body experiences. That's the process through which you achieve higher states. So surrender is an English word which probably doesn't communicate that aspect, that is the end goal anyway. So once you surrender and become part of the larger entity, you become the larger entity yourself, and hence you have achieved what you wanted to achieve. That's the state of being, becoming what you wanted to become in your manifestation. All right, so some interesting concepts there. I think we should talk about some of that after the session, but for now, those three states. So initially, if I was to repeat that, basically, let's think about, let's think about you sit in meditation, and as you will see, we basically meditate in silence. The guided aspect is that all these sessions start with guidance and instructions. And then there is music for transitioning in and transitioning out. So instruction, music, then followed by deep silent meditation. Now, in that deep silent meditation, what we're trying to do is, trying to achieve oneness with the cosmic energy, the transcendental energy, where, we would try to manifest that energy. And how do we do that is, we imagine or try to manifest that energy. And how do we do that is like we're imagining that energy is right here, right now with us. And also, so we're surrounded by it, we are in it, and it's also in front of us in form of light, and that light is entering our heart and distributing throughout our body, and we are getting completely and totally immersed in this light. Now, typically, when you start, the mind will wander away. It will go to different places, and one of the processes is to bring it back, make sure that we come back to this thought and this thought alone, that we are in the presence of this transcendental energy in form of light, and that light is entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we're becoming one with this light. Now, so just to tie it with those three states, what happens is that because we are manifesting this energy, because we are meditating on it, because we're trying to become one with it, so even if we try and succeed for a few moments initially, that energizes us, that makes us feel more positive, more uplifted. So the state number one describes that you feel energized, you feel almost enlightened for a few moments, brief moments, and so during the meditation, there will be some moments where you really feel deeply connected to this energy, and that feels good. That the after effect is positive, uplifting, so that session or the satsang or the meditation that we do, for that time being, you start feeling fairly quickly. I think stage one comes very, very quickly. Even stage two, for people who have tried this for some time and would like to see if that's happening, stage two comes pretty quickly as well in satsang, where you start absorbing some of this energy that you're trying to manifest during the manifestation, and some parts of your day or evening, you will find you're feeling better, you're more energized, uplifted, feel uplifted, etc. Again, I think in other sessions I have talked about that, it's a journey, and as the journey goes, as different stages, different phases come, so you would not keep feeling the same way all the time. So this is like a process through you need to go through various phases, and there are ups and downs. It doesn't mean that it's good, bad, or ugly. It's just part of the process. Cleansing, as you and any practice, it's not like completely, at least to start with, is not completely even. It's up and down, and sometimes sideways, and we have to go through that. So, but my observation, and been doing this for 40 years, and I've in India there are thousands and thousands of people who do this fairly regularly, and what I find is stage two is very, very, very common. But stage three is exactly the opposite, very, very uncommon. And the reason probably is that, it could be cultural, it could be how deep and broad we go in the practice. And for some people, it may not be the goal anyway. But I have been fortunate. I've seen people who achieved the third state, where it's not just you absorb more, in stage two, the way I think about stage two is you become a cotton ball, you absorb more. So what that means is you have higher capacity of storing transcendental energy. And my father used to describe it as, almost like a solar cell, which during the day would get recharged, and during the night when the sun is out, it actually utilizes that energy. So you almost get that ability to store. So you have capacity that you build to store this energy and use it when the chips are down. But third state is where you become the energy. You become, so abundant with light, love, and peace that it becomes very infectious. Guru Maharaj himself was like that. Some of his followers and some of my, folks, the leaders in satsang who have inspired me and I had interacted with, you just sit with them and it's an experience in itself. It's just you automatically. I remember as a young person, I used to go to Panditji Maharaj in Tundla, where near Taj, and he was, Guru Maharaj's followers who, one of the followers who really propagated this method to places like distant places in India. He would travel, 20 out of 30 days every month for years and years and years. And I personally experienced, like, you sit with him, you don't have to meditate. You just achieve the state that you would achieve, hopefully today when you practice, just by sitting with him. I mean, and I personally saw that and experienced that. It was just phenomenal. I remember I was in college. I was having lots of different questions and why this, why that, and all that. And I went to meet him during the break, and then I was sitting with him, and I was trying to remember, and I couldn't recall what those questions were, what those things were. It was like a state where all that had gone into a very quiet and peaceful place. Not that it stayed too long, but I'm just, just for example. Anyway, let's practice. So the basic, sit in a relaxed posture, because that's why I feel, postures or poses and the asanas in yoga are so important, that they teach us how to, become nimble and, tone our body. So you can sit still during meditation. So that's one of the byproducts. So we have to sit still, because every time your body moves, your mind moves with it. So relaxed posture, eyes lightly closed. So we close our eyes and observe that there is no strain. It's completely relaxed, and we're sitting in a posture that we can maintain for, 20, 30 minutes, of meditation. So relaxed posture, eyes lightly closed. Now, try to manifest or concentrate on, so dharana, which is like object of concentration. What are we trying to manifest? What are we imagining? That's where the meditation starts. So we are imagining, we're manifesting this transcendental energy, which is in form of light in front of us, and that light is entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we are becoming one with this light. So there is no activity that we're doing. We're the thought of this transcendental energy, and that we're manifesting this. We want to become one with this energy. That's our object of concentration. That's our dharana. Now, as you go deep into it, You will forget what you started with. You will forget who you are, where you are. That's fine. That's deep meditation. But we have to start somewhere. And the starting point is that we are in the presence of this transcendental energy that's in front of us in form of light. That light is entering our heart, enlightening our heart, and getting distributed throughout our body. And we are getting completely and totally immersed in this light. Now, mind will wander away because it's natural. And that's when the pratyahara or inward orientation. So not only we're trying to, find this light within us, whenever our mind, wanders away, we have to bring it back to this thought and this thought alone, that there is this transcendental energy in form of light in front of us, entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we are becoming one with this light. So inward orientation, the object of concentration is just this transcendental energy, and we have to go deep in it. And then, as you will realize as you go deeper and deeper into your meditation, soon enough, the resultant higher consciousness, higher awareness, that's the eighth limb, which is samadhi. So anyway, we have to start that journey, and that's where we start. So there will be music to transition into this deep silent meditation. It eases us into it, and then in silence we would meditate. So let's start now. So happy Tuesday, everyone. So yeah, today I was thinking, my wife always says that, you need to keep quiet and let people just absorb the energy. But I feel, interactive session is just part of the transition out while you're absorbing energy. This is the lighter part of the meditation where the process is still working. What you meditated on just doesn't, like the switch. See, it takes a while to get into the meditation mode. And typically there is some time before we go back to square one. And immediately after is actually a pretty good time to keep the mode on and keep, it's almost like, I was having some back issues, so I started yoga again. And the instructor basically starts the session with some mantras and ends the session with some mantras. And then he states that, okay, so now that you have, recited those mantras, now you, keep your eyes closed and feel the vibration. So typically after the meditation, I don't say, keep your eyes closed and feel the vibration, but, it's very similar because the process is still working within you. But while I was born in this family, and Guru Maharaj stated that, you start meditation after 16, because till then your mind and brain is still, developing. So this is fairly advanced, deep meditation. So start at 16. So I started at 16 and continued to have so many questions. So, and that probably continued for decades that way. So that's why I always, feel that questions are good. Understanding what you're practicing, why this and why that, and what's important, what's not, what are the challenges, and so on and so forth. And just sharing with everyone what you're feeling is good. So let's open it up. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Good, thank
to see you here.
Yes, I was just curious if cosmically, if there is a certain time where it's easier to absorb light or experience a light with the full moon. And I feel like in the last 6 months, I've become more conscious of the lunar movements and things of that sort in terms of absorbing light. So it's just a question I had.
So I think there is so much research, observations on that. And interestingly, and I don't know how that happened, I don't think I kind of pushed my eldest daughter into, being spiritual early on, at least. And so she kind of developed, while she was in college, developed, interest in numerology and astrology and all that. So, all that has tremendous effect on us. So when to meditate? And, so Sufis, that's the meditative sect of Muslims. So Sufis, and actually Muslims pray 5 times a day, and those were like 5 times when, certain energies are in the environment. So that's how that came about. But Guru Maharaj was of the opinion that, everybody is getting busy and everybody is not the kind of yogi who goes, to the Himalayas and dedicates their lives to that. So he said that, so he was like very, very flexible. His view was, choose a time that works for you. While he said that, he does agree that, some of the research says that the early morning hours, like 4 a.m. to it all the way goes up to like 8 a.m. So, but early part of that 4-hour time frame, and then 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Those two, even like from a practice development perspective, if you start your morning with even a 10-minute meditation, you recharge yourself, and then if you do 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes, so I would say 10 to 30 minutes in the morning recharges you to go and do whatever you do during the day, and then end the day the same way. It kind of works like everyday shower. You have collected whatever dirt or the thought waves that are pulling you down or are not really healthy or positive, cleanse them before you retire, and that'll help you have a good sleep. So I would say, if at all there is a stipulation, the 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., that's just guidance. But my grandfather was of the opinion, whatever time that works for you would be good. He did add, though, that, I think, and I might be translating it slightly differently, but, we are creatures of habit. So if you set a time and place, and try to follow that time and place. So find one area where you meditate. So what will happen is, when you go to that room or that corner or that, place, just by, being there, your mode will shift. And if you fix the time, then during that, like literally, you will find very quickly that that place, that time would kind of switch you into meditative mode very quickly. So that could be helpful. But then, I don't know if it's relevant here, but I don't know why I just, based on your question, what comes to my mind, in one of the chapters in his 7-volume, 28-chapter book, one of the places he says, people who want to make their meditative practice, satsang practice, deeper, could utilize 4 times the 4 you know, so 4 categories of time to their advantage. So he kind of said, like, so sleep time, right? What he said, a light version. So before sleeping, if you think that you are, surrounded by this positive energy, and you're sleeping in this, transcendental energy, the atmosphere is all charged with it. So, so that way your sleep becomes a meditative, sleep in some ways. Second time was like people, even I, would, during the time when we're eating, he has written a lot about, how to cook and how to eat and all that. But here, I think what's relevant is that during the time while you're eating, if you think that you're consuming this transcendental energy as whatever you're eating, so he says that because the food stays in our system for a while, that energy continues to work, so that supports your practice as well. So unlike the usual, watching TV and talking about all kinds of stuff, if you make your, time when you're eating, you can convert that into a meditative, practice as well. Then there were 2 other times. One is when you don't have anything else to do, just kind of lightweight, that you're surrounded with this energy and you're getting energized with it, and so on and so forth. And the other one is like, he used to do that himself. So when he used to go for long walks, which was almost a daily thing, so that was another time when he would do that. So Steve, did we lose him? Oh, no. So.
No, thank you. That helps. You mentioned the Sufis, which makes me think of the poet Rumi, who talked about always trying to be the light in the room. So
and there was one quote that I really liked from him. He was very, very deep. But I don't know if I'm able to recall right now, but it was like, so far away from where we are, there is a field where, I'll meet you there. It's like almost a place which is like quiet and peaceful. And then he goes on to say, like, from the right doings and wrongdoings, go beyond that to that field. So it's like people get stuck in what is right, what is wrong, and he says, like, go beyond that. So he is very deep. Yeah, I actually, interestingly, for the first time, I went to Turkey recently, and that's the place of Sufis, and believe it or not, didn't expect to see that, but a 6th century church that got converted to a mosque, and then to a museum, then back to a mosque. So it's a mosque which has, Jesus and Mary right there. It's unbelievable. and for 1,500 years still standing. All right, Deborah. Oh, Sarah has a question here.
Hi, all.
Hello.
So I'm a product of New York City. I was born and raised in the frenetic chaos. And I
So
was thinking,
all my three kids were born in that vicinity. I worked in New York for a while before I moved to Virginia, so I can relate with that.
okay, yeah. So on the 5 niyamas, I think my biggest challenge is discipline, partly because I associate it with a kind of self-punishing, unregulated, constant pressure forward. So I find that I have different selves. And when I absorb all this beautiful love, light energy, I just want to lie around and kind of be licentious in that, so do you have any advice on how to bring more contentment or love, positive energy into discipline? Is it my question?
I think I remember your last comment, and I felt it's amazing to feel the energy and how you're trying to absorb and become better at it. And on the same light, a very, very relevant question. The thing is, if and I'm probably just saying it very lightly, what's the hurry, and why are we in such a rush, right? If we slow down, and the reason I'm saying so lightly is like I used to do these sessions a while back in a public library in Virginia, and 2 old ladies used to join me, and the first question one of them would ask is like, okay, Sanjeev, so while coming here, did you see the beautiful mountains on the way? I'm like, what? Who has time for that, right? Who has time for that? We have been almost being pushed into such a rut of a life, and the pressure continues, right? I mean, a 1-hour commute was probably the normal commute, and sometimes it will get worse when I was in New York. And then kids, and then sometimes work would come with me in the evening, et cetera, et cetera. So the way I would look at it is I think it's our right to enjoy and relax, but then because of the maybe it's the culture that kind of pushes us to get more and stay away from just absorbing, and it's I think we should be one way, but we lead the life in another way, right? The way I look at it, though, is this. Let's say I have heavy pressure job and lots of other things going on. My 10 minutes of meditation can change that for that 10 minutes, right? So if I can afford to do 20 minutes or 30 minutes a day, oh, that's a luxury, right? At least do that much. right? So my grandfather, and that's like back in India in, almost a century back, when probably things were a bit slower. He used to say, earn your own living, be busy, live a family life. But that doesn't mean that you should forget about your spiritual progress and the ability to be joyful. So his formula was put 23 hours in everything else. Take 1 hour for yourself. That was his formula. It was like, he would say that would transform your life. And the reason now I feel that he used to say that is, you start somewhere. Once you take those 3 stages, the inner characteristics as stone, then cotton ball, which absorbs energy, then you become what very few become, this absorbent capability that you develop through satsang. I am telling you, like, very few minutes, you will absorb so much that you will not only charge yourself to do everything else, but you will start charging other people up. You will be positive. You will affect your environment positively. You will do things that, are joyful to yourself and others, right? So I would say just keep that thread running, and it will pay dividends. Did I don't know if I went on a
Yes,
tangent.
thank you very much. I love the mountains. Good reminder.
No, and how many of us really, so mountains are there, but I'm just too busy, in so many things that are going on that I just don't have time. And so if we can, step back and relax, and, it's not, see, sometimes, yes, we have to keep the eye on the ball, but I think we get so caught up that the time that we get to relax, we don't. And I can relate to that personally. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am glad that we have you here. It's a pleasure to, I think this, the Buddhists call it Sangha, which is the collective, and the collective energy is, and we, in the video, we talked about self-discipline. So, and that's what your question was about. But see, the thing is balance. I think Buddhists talk about balance a lot. It's not about the extremes. It's like, how do you balance? And the balance is, keep this thread going, but, you have to continue to do all your duties in the most effective manner. So use the energy to do better, right? Faster, more efficient as well. So you get more time to enjoy. So hopefully that'll work. Yeah. So, oh, wow. Today it turned out to be a long session. So Deborah, how are you? That will be our wrap-up thought for today.
Yeah. Good. I'm good. I've been out of the country, and I'm glad to be back. So glad to be back with all of you, and trying to be a good cotton ball.
That sounds like a plan. So where were you? Was it good?
Yeah. Holland.
So I've been to Amsterdam twice.
Yeah. I had never been before. It was interesting, but I was very busy and away from my like 3-time-a-week yoga practice and away from satsang. And I think it was yesterday I came back, and I've been doing yoga with the same group. I call it my tribe for six or 7 years now, at least twice a week with the same group. And it really feels, it's interesting that you mentioned, I guess that's in Rumi, like creating a place or a space. When I found my mat yesterday for the first time in 3 weeks, I felt like I was home. like my yogic life was rooted in that mat, so I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, we're glad to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, call it a tribe or the family. It's yeah, it's. I think these sessions are getting deeper, and I mean, today was a phenomenal session. So thanks to you all. So happy Tuesday, everyone. Lauren, Candace, Steve, Linda, Callie, and Eddie. Eddie, so as usual, you would wrap up quickly. It's almost 8:30 now.
Okay, very quickly here. So the takeaway for us is that as we practice satsang, we become like the cotton ball, and we absorb and maintain more of this transcendental energy. In doing so, our personalities, or that aspect of ourself that we call a personality, becomes more virtuous. The result of that is our behavior in this world becomes more in conformance with what we call the niyam, or those things that we should observe. And so in this way, this is how Ramashram Satsang actually help us achieve or accumulate that limb. Because without it, otherwise, obtaining the limb of niyama or the observances would be very difficult, if not impossible. So, as Deborah was saying, let us all practice satsang and become like the sponge, or come like the cotton ball.
Awesome. On that note, have a great week ahead, and we'll see you very soon. And I think what Deborah was mentioning, I think we were all family here. Let's continue to help each other in the journey and get to a better place and be more joyful. So thanks and take care.
Thank you, Sanjeev.